If you look at the transit map of what's being built right now, LRTs on Finch, LRT on Eglinton, Ontario line coming in, UP Express finished a few years ago. There's a lot going on here right now. Why is everything happening all at once? Or it feels like everything's happening all at once.
A lot of things are happening now-ish because we did a whole bunch of nothing for about 20 years. And so now we're paying catch up, given that we waited too long and also our population grew. But the Up Express opened in 2015. That's almost a decade ago. So our perception of now is also a little bit
Good
off.
point. It just felt like a few years ago.
Yeah,
It's been around for a while. But it does feel, I'll put this to you, Neil, it feels like there's an awful lot going on right now, all at once. Mm-hmm. Is that the way you want to plan building transit in a city if you had your druthers?
I think if you had your druthers, which I think we're getting our druthers, you know what the critical infrastructure is and take the steps to get there. As Shoshana said, we had a lost generation where the GTA population grew by 3 million people, and we had a Shepherd subway of 5 kilometers built. 3 million people who have no choice but to drive or take the bus on roads that were laid out by someone named Lord Simcoe. It obviously wasn't designed for 3 million cars to fit onto our roads. We know that rapid transit is the only way to efficiently move that many people around the region. And we've suddenly gotten very good at actually getting these projects approved. And so they're happening right now, but we need to continue to work to ensure that the disruption is minimized as much as possible.
Well, that's where we get to Jason. Okay, that's the macro view that we've heard here. Now here comes the micro view. Tell us what you do for a living.
I'm an owner of a hair salon, 1572 Eglinton Avenue West, Casual Beauty Salon. I'm also the chairman of Eglinton West, Little Jamaica. Pertaining to your conversation about this, if we need this, we're not doubting if we need these things. These things are things that we should have saw years ago. However, what does the community have to say about these developers that come in? Normally, whenever developers come in, they need approval from the community.
Did they get it?
Well, in my circumstance, I know I didn't approve that personally. However, I wasn't the chairman at the time of the BIA. But
this is the business improvement area.
The business improvement area. Yeah.
Tell me, the light this is a $12 billion light rail transit line that is presumably going to be going right in front of your salon, right?
Okay.
And has been in the process of being built for a decade. Can you talk to us about what it's done to your life and/or business?
Well, my business personally, they told us when they first came on the scene that this would be a 5-year project. This was supposed to be finished 2015. 2018, it was supposed to finish. I think it went to 2020. I don't really listen to when it's going to be finished anymore because, after, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, we're 15 years in now. So,
and they still don't know when it's going to open.
Well, this is the next thing. When you're asking the question about if we need these things, I don't think that's the right question. The question you should be asking these people is how long is this project going to take? And do they have approval from the community? Does the community, we know that we're dated. We know Canada is really behind time when it comes on to subways, LRTs, all of these. Yeah. They told us that I would have been able to reach Air Canada, the airport, from my business place in 15 minutes. They told us that in 2009. So we're still waiting on that.
Okay, let me go to Shoshana on that. This is, I think, you have made the case about why it's important to build public transit all the time and well. Here is a real-life example of what can happen when it's not done well or on time. How do we balance these things off?
Well, for one, we should stop screwing up, right? We never should have let the Eglinton Crosstown get away from us the way it was. There were a lot of mistakes made at the beginning. So one, we have to stop making those mistakes at the beginning. We've got to take seriously how to build projects well. But somewhat ironically, continuing to build things is a really big part of that. Because of the lost generation, we forgot how to build big projects, and we had to relearn from the beginning. We had to figure out, how do we get the tradespeople who know how to do this? How do we get contractors who know how to do it? How do we get staff within government who know how to manage it? And that takes learning and maintaining. So one thing is, we shouldn't stop for another generation, which is sort of ironic to the let's not screw up. But that's a really big thing. We've got to learn how to do this well. We've got to take seriously doing it well. But we also have to keep believing that we can, so that we can keep improving.
John, how is it that basically every significant infrastructure project that the province of Ontario, either through Metrolinx or whatever, undertakes, whether it's a streetcar line on St. Clair, whether it's Eglinton Crosstown, LRT, whether it's the renovation of Union Station down by the waterfront, it always seems to go over time and over budget. How do we tell guys like Jason, don't worry, it'll be worth it in the long run?
Well, I think that first off, you need truth in advertising. I mean, in most infrastructure projects in most big cities, they go long. It takes longer than people project. There's a way of getting political approval, is that, you know, the politicians will say to people like Jason, this is what we're going to do. You're going to have these benefits. It's going to happen quickly. And there's no world in which that is the case, right? So I think we don't do a really good job in managing expectations. And I think that we've kind of locked into a system of using these, you know, private consortia to build these big transportation projects, you know, with an eye to getting them built on time and on budget, which has perversely, you know, produced the exact opposite effect. You know, the last major subway project that was completed in Toronto was the extension of the Yonge University subway line up to Vaughan Metropolitan Centre. And that was basically done by the TTC. And, you know, it wasn't like exactly on time, it wasn't exactly on budget, but it wasn't bad. You know, whereas compared to the Eglinton Crosstown and whatever, you know, however long it's going to take to build the Ontario line, you know, I think that there's a problem with the model that we're using.
That's what I was referring to as the big mistakes at the beginning. I worked on both the construction of TYSSE, the extension, and on the Eglinton Crosstown in a
What was that acronym you said?
TYSSE,
What's that?
Toronto York Subway, Spadina Subway Extension.
Oh, okay, got it. You worked on that.
That was one of my first jobs. So for me, it's a career and a half ago. That's how long these projects have been going on.
So you see where the insult lies now. The insult is when I hear this lovely lady say they're going to try to prevent the screw-ups. I hear this gentleman over here, the reporter, he's talking about they'll lie.
He's lovely too, incidentally.
Yeah, well, you know, the point I'm trying to make is, as a business owner, I can't work off of you screwing up and lies. I can't tell my workers screw-ups. I can't tell my workers lies. So I have to hold the government, the city, to the same accountability that my workers hold me. This nice lady here is telling us that they screwed up. I know this from 2012, from Catherine Wynne was in office. I wrote Catherine Wynne when she started her bullying program. I feel as a business owner, I've been bullied. I've been bullied the last 14 years of my life. My whole family has been subjected to being hostage on Eglinton West by Metrolinx. This lady here says it was a screw up. This man says they lied. I know you guys are talking about bringing a next Ontario line to people. Make sure when you bring it, because I can't stop you, make sure you don't screw up people's livelihoods. Make sure you don't lie to people. That's my advice as a business owner.
Shoshana, you want to finish the point?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to respond to that. The thing is, there is absolutely no way to build these big projects without, to a certain extent, screwing up people's livelihoods.
Excuse me?
Which is horrible.
Excuse me?
You know, there is going to be, they should not have taken as long, they should not have been lying, they should not have said, we'll be done and then not be done. But a certain amount of disruption will absolutely come with the Ontario line. And so the question becomes, how do we treat people with dignity while we make their realities harder?